program, ensuring a comprehensive response to the issue. The procurement process for the RAI structures demolition, weighbridge installation, and the relevant supervision contracts are completed and awarded. Tire shredding activity has been reformulated as tire removal off island, and the new bidding process has been initiated. The project concluded that the procurement of the feasibility study and development of procurement documents for the interventions on the landfill. The contract for the feasibility study was awarded on June 26, 2024, and the first activities of the contracted commenced at the beginning of July. The consultant presented initial findings on August 29th and inception report on September 26th. The planning and execution of several landfill-related projects activities are dependent on the results of the feasibility study, including activities for rehabilitation, recontouring, that's of course regarding the slope of the existing dump, management, and upgrading of the landfill elements planned for reduction and or recovery of waste. In other words, the feasibility study is at the point the most critical activity for this project. Important to note and keep in mind is that over $40 million of financing for interventions on the landfill is not only conditional on the completion of the settlement, but also a number of waste sector reforms. These reforms serve to ensure the sustainability of the investments foreseen through the trust fund and include new waste-related legislation, the establishment of a waste authority or alternative institutional structure, and a financial framework on how to finance solid waste management in the future, including, as I mentioned several times this past month, the adaptation of a tipping fee. The government of St. Maarten has been working on these conditions over the past couple of years with support of NRPB and VNGI through the Integrated Solid Waste Management Project. Finally, on the solid waste sector reforms and the Integrated Solid Waste Management Project, I can briefly, of course, update Parliament on the following 3 steps. An interim ministerial work group on solid waste management is in place and continues to coordinate the preparation and implementation of all waste sector reforms. Secondly, a comprehensive waste authority report, including the financial framework for solid waste management, was prepared with support of VNGI and delivered to the government in December 2023. This report and plans were approved by the Council of Ministers by the end of July 2024. Work is, of course, still ongoing to modify the waste ordinance and start charging a tipping fee for bringing waste to the landfill. We then move to the questions of the Honourable MP Viren V. Kutai. Through you, Madam Chair, the question was advice received from the community to place an extra speed bump between the Chesterfields and the library area to reduce accidents in the stretch of the road. The Department of Infrastructure Management received a request on October 8, 2024 for an establishment requesting a speed bump to enhance traffic safety between Vineyard and Chesterfields. VROMI has no initial objections to the placement of a speed bump. We do take note of the concerns, of course, shared by the MP York on this matter, and we also await pricing from the contractor to make a sound decision on this as well. And just a reference, MP York indicated, and rightfully so, that the more speed bumps that are in place will have an impact on the heavy trucks that have to brake constantly in that area. The MP had a second question regarding the beach bar. Will there be a stop to this? Do we intend to move forward with this? Persons in that neighborhood are complaining about this, especially with no parking in the area as advised by inspection. Indeed, a building permit was issued under the administration, building permit number 245/2023, signed on May 2nd and picked up on May 8th, 2024. On October 1st, 2024, the inspection department visited the site and only the foundation was being constructed and was in accordance with the site plan and foundation plan that were approved. Therefore, no warnings of building stops were warranted at this point. However, what we can say is that after looking at the advice from the permits department, no advice was requested from the Nature Foundation. I, as Minister, through you, Madam Chair, am of the opinion that advice from Nature Foundation is critical when assessing cases as this, as they touch the beaches and impact the environment, particularly the critical nesting areas for turtles. It is also good to know that no change of purpose was granted for the parcels in question, and that currently, according to the deed, no beach bar would be allowed. The department is looking into reevaluating this permit, and assessment will happen on this issue. Then we come to the questions of the Honorable MP Francisco E. La Cruz. Are there any plans for the cleanup of Phillipsburg area in general? Are businesses being fined for putting garbage outside even after the drums have passed? Businesses nor individuals are being fined as mentioned in the answer of MP Irian. Romy and Theatre are collaborating on a project whereby businesses and residents have better and more attractive places to dump trash in Phillipsburg, including the boardwalk. A recent assessment proved that a major issue is insufficient or inadequate dumping facilities. The project aims to ensure that stakeholders such as Phillipsburg Promotion Board and the Tourist Office are also able to provide their input. Are there any plans for the bricks on the road in Phillipsburg? Yes, as part of the next CapEx, this next situation with the bricks on front streets can be permanently addressed. The MP La Cruz's third question, there are a few cars on Cankleberry Road across Ace and Cahill. Can these be removed? Indeed, it will be investigated if removal can be done at the location mentioned. And why investigated? Because very often in our ordinances, we confuse abandoned and wrecked cars. And again, Romy cannot move, with the current legislation, cannot move abandoned cars, only wrecked cars. And wrecked cars really means the wheels are off, windshield is smashed. Yeah, what's also important to note is that there is continuous, as I mentioned, correct, spraying of the cars to be removed, and then persons come back later on with paint thinner and remove the yellow or orange paint. So it has to be a bit more accelerated how we actually respond to the pickup when we do the spraying of the cars. Then Rubber Tree Road in Coal Bay is in need of dire help. Rubber Tree Drive is on the list of side roads that have to be hard surfaced this year. Yep. Are there any plans for parking in the Phillipsburg area? There have been several plans to develop parking and parking garages in Phillipsburg. The lack of safe, legal parking has been determined as one of the key factors that has led to the decline of Phillipsburg. Addressing this matter forms part of the discussion between both my ministry and the Ministry of Theatre to improve the overall experience of Phillipsburg. Are there any plans for tackling the rising prices of homes? A housing policy is being developed in which the housing prices will be addressed. This forms part of a long-term engagement that we have with the Landspaket. Are there any homes available in Belvedere or other locations? There are several homes currently being renovated by the St. Maarten Housing Foundation. St. Maarten Housing Development Foundation in the Belvedere area. These homes are uninhabitable in their current state. There is already a waiting list to occupy these homes upon delivery. So what's happening in short is that once one house is being repaired, one family is being moved from a dilapidated house to the next. So currently the policy is addressing the needs of those already in those houses before they can open them up for consideration by persons currently not in their registry. A following question. A gentleman received a bill for a building permit requested 7 years ago. How can we address and improve on this? Through you, Madam Chair, could the MP share more information to us in private regarding this case so we can look into it? But indeed, I do share those sentiments expressed by MP La Cruz, where we do have severe capacity shortages to address a number of issues. In all candidness, I actually approved a building permit a couple of weeks ago for an establishment that has been open post-Hurricane Irma for the last 2-3 years. So there's an issue in terms of addressing and also in terms of control and monitoring. What happens if a piece of land is paid for each year and the neighbor complains that it gets taken away when building something? What happens to the previous payments that the person would have paid for that land. If you have a piece of long lease land, you must pay for it annually. This is the long lease canon, which should be seen as a rent for the land, the long lease. This is separate, of course, from the building permit. With private land, you do not pay government a fee. However, with both these types of land, all other procedures must be followed when you want to construct on these or any parcels. This ensures that all policies and regulations are upheld, which also prevents possible issues with neighbors, the environment, etc. Madam Chair, through you, is this an actual case brought under the intention of the MP? And if so, could the MP please share with us information regarding this? But just to be clear, having government-owned land does not automatically mean whatever you want to build is permitted. There's two separate situations. A second question, well, another question. A young lady who has studied marine biology is being contracted by Nature Foundation. Is there space in government apparatus to hire this young lady? Thank you for this. Our Secretary General is in contact with the Nature Foundation on this matter. As it pertains to our prior citizen, we suggest not to elaborate too much on this case on the floor of Parliament, but I think it's also important to realize that if someone has a particular function that is not necessarily considered in our function book, it can be challenging to hire that person and challenging to actually pay them what they actually deserve. This has been something on a very personal level to me, the revision of the function books for the past 10 years of me, myself working in government, that does not necessarily match what the country currently needs. So I think a discussion to be taken up with the Minister of General Affairs on this matter is needed. On to the questions of the Honorable MP Franklin Antonio Myers. So how come he gets his full middle name and not A? Anyway, but okay. MP Myers, what are the plans for the cleanup of the island? At the end of November, VNGI will deliver the improved collection strategy and plan for solid waste on St. Maarten. The aim is to find the major root cause of excessive as well as illegal waste disposal and work towards an efficient solution that can be applied easily. VNGI is also working with ROMI and the Interministerial Waste Cooperation Committee to ensure other ministries' waste-related matters are included in the strategy as well. What solution is there for our cemeteries that seem to be approaching maximum capacity, especially in the K-Bay area? In the short term, the use of the above-ground burials, commonly referred to as the mini vaults, is being considered as a solution to the limited space. This method has already been implemented in other areas and is currently being explored in the K-Bay Cemetery. Important to note is that there was a plan for 54 graves to be built in the cul-de-sac area that has not been executed, and we will ensure that we also execute that. And we are planning a meeting with the K-Bay community, which has been requested by them to address this matter as well. Yeah. The next question, what are the plans for beautification of the island, especially the areas of high traffic? Beautification of the island will be addressed in an aesthetics policy, addressing, among other things, standards to enhance the beauty and quality of public spaces. Can you share the impact, the financial impact to our economy? Can you share what the financial consequences to our economy was during the load shedding period of GBE? Madam Chair, to you, that information is readily available to VROMI, but I can say that I remember very clearly in June or July, the SHTA made a sort of preliminary review where it said that there was an impact of about 45% of the economy suffered due to this. But I will, of course, touch base with my colleagues more in depth for a bit more concrete information that can be used to address this question more efficiently. Moving to the questions by the Honorable MP Egbert J. Duran. A company paid 1.2 in ERFPAC. Can you mention which company this is? I think we clarified that, so our apologies through you, Madam Chair, to the MP. It was not paid. It is still to be paid by that company. Yeah, and the next question, of course, can you